Deion Sanders. The fifth-round quarterback from Colorado landed in Cleveland just 3 picks after reports emerged that he'd allegedly asked the Baltimore Ravens not to draft him. The Ravens, known for stability, success, and quarterback development, were believed to be eyeing Sanders as a potential developmental pick behind Lamar Jackson. But according to the rumor, Sanders, or someone from his camp, signaled that he preferred not to be placed in a backup role, particularly not behind an entrenched MVP like Jack.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
That changed everything. Baltimore pivoted. Cleveland seized the opportunity. And now, the discussion around Sanders has grown beyond a single draft decision. It's become a full-blown NFL storyline. When pressed about the reports, Sanders responded coolly. He claimed he hadn't heard about the story until someone brought it up, then quickly dismissed it, saying it doesn't even serve purpose in my life. It wasn't a denial, but it also wasn't confirmation. The ambiguity only fueled more speculation. That response told the public one thing clearly. Deion Sanders wasn't interested in justifying the decision or engaging with the rumor cycle. Whether it happened exactly that way or not, Sanders made it clear he's focused on his current situation. And his current situation is Cleveland. This is where the real tension in the story begins. Cleveland's reputation for quarterback development, or the lack thereof, is hard to ignore. Since re-entering the league in 1999, the Browns have started over 30 quarterbacks, each entering the building with some version of hope and most exiting with disappointment. From early round busts to short-term free agent flyers, the franchise has struggled to maintain any long-term success under center. So, for Sanders to land here, whether by design or circumstance, is bold. Baltimore, by contrast, offers everything Cleveland doesn't. Structure, stability, a proven quarterback pipeline, a coaching staff that has consistently built around its signal callers. Sitting behind Lamar Jackson may not be glamorous, but we've offered Sanders time, mentorship, and development under one of the league's most consistent and well-coached franchises. The Ravens likely wouldn't have asked Sanders to start in year 1. He would have learned the game from the bench, absorbed the system, and matured behind a quarterback who's experienced the highs and lows of the NFL at the very top level. For many rookies, especially mid-round picks, that path would be a dream. But that's not the path Sanders wanted. By ending up in Cleveland, Sanders has embraced a scenario where expectations are immediate. The pressure to perform is not years away. It's right now. And in a franchise with such a turbulent quarterback history, that pressure is amplified. Experts and analysts across the league were quick to comment. Many criticized the move or the alleged decision to avoid Baltimore as short-sighted. Development behind Lamar, they argued, would have protected Sanders from the early career struggles that so many young quarterbacks experience. Learning without the risk of on-field failure is rare in the NFL. It's a gift, but others saw confidence. In choosing Cleveland, whether by plan or coincidence, Sanders steps into a franchise still looking for a long-term answer at quarterback. And for a player who wants to compete early, who believes he's ready, it's hard to find a team with more opportunity, chaotic or not. That's where Deion Sanders comes into the story. As Deion father, Deion has never shied away from being a vocal advocate. He's an NFL Hall of Famer, a college football head coach, and one of the most recognizable figures in the sport. His presence in Deijon's career has been undeniable, from the decision to attend Jackson State, to following Deion to Colorado, to now preparing for the NFL under his father's influence. This is a family approach. And the speculation, fairly or not, is that Deion had a hand in guiding this move. Several narratives suggest that Deion wanted Deijon in a position to play immediately, not sit behind an elite quarterback for years. That he values visibility, competition, and momentum over patience and development. And while Deion hasn't commented directly on the Baltimore rumor, the history speaks volumes. At every stage of Deijon's career so far, he stepped into situations where he would be the focal point. Cleveland allows that. Baltimore does not. And so we land at the strategic question. Is this approach good for Deijon's long-term success? The risk in Cleveland is clear. The franchise's instability isn't just a talking point. It's a documented pattern. Young quarterbacks often get thrown into starting roles too soon. Systems change. Coaching staff rotate. Fan expectations fluctuate wildly. And the margin for error is razor thin. Even for quarterbacks with higher draft capital, Cleveland has proven to be an unforgiving place. Now, Sanders will enter that environment as a fifth-round pick, expected to compete early, under the weight of speculation and legacy. And while the Browns may offer him a faster path to the field, they offer significantly less in terms of structure. The danger is not just that Sanders could fail. It's that the environment might never give him a fair shot to succeed. In contrast, the Ravens have a reputation for creating successful developmental environments. Backup quarterbacks in Baltimore are valued, coached well, and protected. The system is built with clarity. If Sanders had landed there, the short-term sacrifices might have led to long-term sustainability. That's the central divide in the public reaction. Supporters of the move say it's a player betting on himself. Critics say it's a rookie overestimating his readiness. Neutral observers see the tension between ambition and patience, between spotlight and system. Either way, the move is now irreversible, and the NFL media cycle has not let it go. Even though Sanders hasn't taken a snap, the storylines are everywhere. His draft day narrative has already made him one of the most talked about players in his class. Not because of stats, not because of combined performances, but because of a single rumored decision that may or may not have happened. That's the power of perception in the NFL, and it's not going away. Whether he likes it or not, Sanders' name is now tied to two franchises. The one he reportedly said no to, and the one that said yes. If he struggles early in Cleveland, the comparisons will begin immediately. If Baltimore develops a quarterback behind Lamar in the next few years, people will say, that could have been Shadur. And if Cleveland doesn't provide the support system he needs, it will be painted as a cautionary tale of a young player who wanted too much, too fast. But if Sanders succeeds, if he overcomes Cleveland's volatility and becomes the franchise's first long-term solution in decades, that narrative changes overnight. Then it's not arrogance, it's foresight, not recklessness, strategy. And Deion Sanders becomes not just a proud father, but a visionary influence. That's what makes this story so compelling. Because it's not just about one draft choice or one team. It's about the gap between ambition and opportunity, between confidence and caution, between narrative and reality. Whether the rumor is true or not no longer matters. It has already reshaped how fans view Shadur Sanders' entry into the NFL. And as he begins a professional career in Cleveland, he will carry more than a playbook. He'll carry expectations, speculation, legacy, pressure, and every throw he makes will either confirm or rewrite the story that started before he ever touched the field. Is Shadur Sanders ready for the challenge Cleveland presents, or did he leave long-term growth on the table in Baltimore? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you want full coverage of the wildest, weirdest, and most unpredictable stories in the NFL. Because this one, it's far from over. Shadur Sanders didn't just step into an NFL franchise. He stepped into a spotlight that had already been following him for years, and now that light is white hot. The moment his name was called by the Cleveland Browns, the comparisons began, not just to other rookies, not just to his father, but to every single quarterback who's ever walked through the front doors of the Browns facility and walked out broken. And there have been many. Cleveland is a city that loves football but has been failed by it repeatedly. It's not a media narrative. It's not an exaggeration. It's documented history. Since 1999, the Browns have drafted 10 quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds. Most were starters. Most didn't last. Whether it was poor coaching, a lack of offensive line protection, bad timing, or just bad luck, the result has been the same: failure. So when Shadur Sanders was selected by the Browns, just 3 picks after the Ravens passed, the reaction wasn't quiet. It was loud, immediate, polarizing. Fans questioned why a quarterback, any quarterback, would want to walk into that situation. And then the rumor surfaced, the one that said he told the Ravens not to draft him. Whether it was a direct call or an informal signal, the suggestion was clear. Shadur did not want to be Lamar Jackson's backup. He wanted to compete. He wanted to play. And that changes everything. Because now, every time he steps on the field, it's not just about execution. It's about proving that decision right. He's not just a young quarterback trying to earn a role. He's a quarterback who chose Cleveland over Baltimore. The quarterback who said no to a top-tier system so he could say yes to a bigger opportunity. And that's a gamble. No matter what anyone says publicly, being a backup in Baltimore wouldn't have been a failure. It would have been a smart move. The Ravens are one of the few teams that consistently develop their talent, especially on offense. Sitting behind Lamar Jackson wouldn't have been punishment. It would have been a masterclass. Learn the playbook, understand the scheme, study a dynamic, MVP-level quarterback. Watch how he handles pressure. Observe how the team builds around him. That kind of access is invaluable. It doesn't come with media attention or early starts, but it comes with experience and stability. But instead, Sanders is in Cleveland, and the Browns don't offer that same cushion. Their current quarterback situation? Volatile. The team's front office? Still trying to find consistency after years of misfires. The coaching staff? Pressure to win now. The fan base? Tired of rebuilding. And all of that lands squarely on Shedur's shoulders. He's not coming in as a project. He's not being protected. He's being positioned, whether officially or unofficially, as a potential answer. And in Cleveland, the next guy is always under scrutiny, always compared to the last, always expected to fix what came before him. And Shedur, he doesn't just carry that burden. He carries the weight of expectation from an entire football family. Deion Sanders is a major figure in this story, whether the league wants to acknowledge it or not. His influence is woven into Shedur's journey. From youth football to college to the draft, Deion has been present, not just as a father, but as a strategist. Deion's track record shows he isn't interested in doing things the traditional way, and neither is Shedur. They didn't chase the usual Power 5 route out of high school. They went to Jackson State. They didn't follow the standard recruiting process. They built their own brand. And now, in the NFL, that same philosophy continues. The idea that they want control over where Shedur landed isn't far-fetched. It's consistent. It fits everything they've done so far, which is why the Ravens' rumor, even if unconfirmed, feels credible to so many people. Not because it's scandalous, but because it's on brand. This isn't about arrogance. It's about control. It's about narrative. It's about legacy. And that brings us back to Cleveland. Because legacy is either built or broken there. There's rarely an in-between. If Shedur succeeds in Cleveland, if he rises above the noise, the expectations, and the chaos, he becomes a legend overnight. The quarterback who turned down mentorship in favor of leadership. The rookie who said no thanks to the safe route and made his own way instead. The Sanders son who brought stability to the most unstable quarterback room in football. But if he struggles, if the Browns do what they've done to so many before, if the offense stutters, the losses pile up, and the pressure becomes too much, then the narrative shifts. The story becomes cautionary. The draft day decision becomes the headline. Should have gone to Baltimore. Wanted too much too soon. Overestimated the brand. And that's where the NFL is so unforgiving. You don't get to explain your context when things go wrong. You get judged. You get labeled. You get remembered. Not always for what you did, but for what people think you did. And Shedur's already facing that before he's thrown a single NFL pass. Right now, his response to the rumors has only added fuel. He didn't try to shut them down completely. He didn't go into details. He simply brushed it off, said it didn't serve a purpose in his life, and kept it moving. That's not a denial. That's a deflection. And in the NFL, silence often becomes confirmation. So now, whether true or not, the story is locked in. Fans believe it. The media repeats it. And Shedur plays under it. Every success will be seen as validation. Every mistake will be seen as a consequence. And fair or not, that's his reality. This is a tightrope. And it's incredibly thin. On one side, opportunity. A chance to be the Browns' first real, sustainable franchise quarterback in decades. On the other, expectation. The pressure to win early. The pressure to justify a decision that half the league thinks was misguided. The pressure to prove that he didn't just ride his name to the NFL, but that he earned it. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is about. The question isn't can Shedeur Sanders play? It's can he play under this level of scrutiny? Can he deliver not just for a franchise, but for a legacy? And the Browns, for all their issues, aren't going to wait long to find out. If Shedeur earns a starting role, everything moves faster. The media cycle spins faster. The pressure mounts. The comparisons grow. Every snap becomes a referendum on a decision made on draft weekend. And it never stops. That's the reality of walking into a quarterback room with this much history and this much baggage. You don't get to ease in. You either win early or the questions never stop. The Ravens story won't go away. Not unless Shedeur makes it go away. That's why this entire situation is so much more than a draft rumor. It's a turning point in how quarterbacks might begin to approach the league. It's about agency, about confidence, about rewriting the standard. And that doesn't just happen in a press conference. It happens on the field. Now the spotlight is locked in. Every move, every stat line, every post-game quote, monitored, measured, dissected. And Shedeur, he doesn't get a grace period. He gets Cleveland. Here's the uncomfortable truth no one in league circles wants to say out loud. Whether Shedeur told the Ravens not to draft him or not, he's being treated like he did. That perception, that choice, has now shaped everything that follows. And in the world of pro football, perception can be just as powerful as performance. Right now, Shedeur isn't just a rookie quarterback. He's a litmus test. The NFL isn't watching him like they do most late-round picks. They're watching him like they're waiting to be proven right. And what exactly do they want to be right about? That confidence needs to be earned, not inherited. That sitting behind an MVP like Lamar Jackson is a privilege, not a problem. That quarterback development still works best when it's slow and steady. This isn't just about the Ravens and the Browns. This is about Shedeur being a visible challenge to the NFL's unspoken hierarchy. And the league is watching to see if he crashes. Because if he doesn't, everything changes. Let's talk brass tacks. Cleveland didn't just take Shedeur on a whim. This wasn't a charity pick. For a team that's gone through so many quarterbacks they could form their own alumni league, drafting another QB was a signal. It means the current plan isn't set in stone. Deshaun Watson? Still a huge question mark, both on the field and off. That guaranteed contract looms large, but performance matters. And if Watson falters, or even gets injured, guess who's one good practice away from the spotlight? Shedeur. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. And when that moment comes, he doesn't walk on the field like a typical fifth-round rookie. He walks in with headlines already written. He walks in with a fan base that's already divided on whether he's a savior or a sideshow. He walks in carrying not just the hopes of a cursed franchise, but the narrative-weighted decision that's still making waves. And that's what makes this so high risk, high reward. If Shedeur takes that first snap and shows poise, confidence, accuracy, then the Ravens story becomes legend. The line will be, he knew he was ready. He knew he didn't belong in the shadows. But if he stumbles, if the timing's off, if the reads are shaky, if the turnovers start piling up, then the floodgates open. The he should have sat behind Lamar takes will drown every sports show. The he wasn't ready headlines will recycle endlessly. And fair or not, Shedeur becomes a lesson, not in how to succeed, but in why rookies should know their place. And then there's Deion. Let's not pretend he's a background character in this story. Deion is one of the most visible, vocal, and charismatic figures in football. He knows media. He understands narrative. And he's made it very clear. He wants his sons to be more than players. He wants them to be forces. That's what this move is about. Deion didn't build his entire brand on humility and slow burns. He built it on prime time, on bold choices, on skipping the line and daring anyone to stop him. And that blueprint? It's now Shedeur's. Which means the stakes aren't just professional. They're personal. Every hit Shedeur takes, every mistake he makes, every success he has, all reflects back on the family. And that is a rare kind of pressure. Most rookies are allowed to be anonymous. They're allowed to struggle quietly. Shedeur, doesn't get that luxury. From the moment the draft ended, he became the NFL's most talked-about fifth-round pick. He doesn't have time to develop in peace. His learning curve is broadcast in real time. And Cleveland? Cleveland doesn't care about nuance. This is a fan base that's been waiting decades for a quarterback who can survive the season, let alone the spotlight. If Shedeur performs, they'll crown him. If he doesn't, they'll move on. Quickly. Brutally. That's what's so cruel about this gamble. There's no middle. He either overachieves and resets the expectations for rookie quarterbacks, or he becomes another forgotten name in the Browns' graveyard of almosts. So what happens next? Right now it's all noise, rumors, opinions, pundits and podcasts and fan accounts dissecting every frame of training camp footage. The real test comes when the lights turn on, when Shedeur takes a snap in a real game with a real defense in real time. That's when we'll see whether this was a smart career move or a catastrophic misread of the moment. But here's what we know for sure. He's not afraid. He could have taken the safer route. He could have sat quietly behind Lamar, learned the ropes, and waited for his moment. That's not what he wanted. He wanted now. He wanted this. He wanted Cleveland. And love it or hate it, that says something. Because the NFL doesn't reward fear. It rewards results. And Deion Sanders is betting that he has what it takes right now, in this system, in this city, to do what so many others couldn't. That's not arrogance. That's belief. And belief, when backed up a performance, becomes legacy. But if it fails, if Cleveland claims another quarterback, then we'll be talking about this for a very different reason. Because sometimes the worst thing a rookie can do is try to skip the line. What do you think? Did Shedeur make a power move? Or did he step into a disaster waiting to happen? Let us know in the comments. And if you're here for the drama, the tension, and the relentless unpredictability of NFL chaos, hit that subscribe button. Because no matter how this plays out, one thing's for sure. This saga isn't fading quietly into the offseason.